assuming you want discussion. Tom, go ahead.
First of all, thank goodness I wasn't here in 2020. I took a year off the board, year and a half off the board. And I missed it. I got asked to be put back on and I was appointed. But how do I put this? I was in your shoes once. I sued Vail Township myself. I lost. It was dismissed. But they came after me for $16,000 in attorney's fees, which thank goodness went back to court. I only had to pay a tenth of that, but it was still a lot of money. But I understand what you're doing. But please understand what this board is doing. We have to follow state statute. The county, I'm sure, carries errors and omission insurance on us. But when we have a 60-day rule, if we don't act in that 60-day rule, it's automatically approved whoever's before us. So we have to follow the 60-day rule. We have to have 2 weeks of notice comes to us and we have to act on that case. We get the same notification probably within a day or two as everybody else does for the case. So we're stuck with that 60-day rule, whether we like it or not, and you're stuck with it too. I'm sorry. It's a bad thing, it's a good thing. If you're the applicant, you may need more time. Maybe you don't want that 60-day rule. You want the board to just forget about it and it's automatically approved. If you're on the other side of the applicant's request, you want more time. I understand that, but don't have it by state statute. Yeah, you can appeal. You got a 60-day rule. And we've had it where the sun doesn't shine once or twice and it hurts because we've lost cases. If we haven't lost them, they were appealed somewhere down the line. And we accept that. But the 60-day rule is there. We can't do a thing about that. And not that we would because it's state statute. And then we're not hiding behind that rule, believe me. It's there, it's state. We have it in our ordinance book. Been there for a long time. If somebody can show me where the 60-day rule is no longer in effect, please show me. I'm at 77 going 78, but it's been there a long time. As far as our moral compass is somebody who, a pretty moral person.
May I
Board
address
makes
that though, the 60-day rule?
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
Ma'am, the meeting's closed.
You said if anybody can tell you that you're wrong.
Yes, well, when the meeting's over, I'll gladly you show me where, please. Because I can show you the book here. So maybe, but we try to do the best we can. No, and I'm not trying to protect LTI or Lakehead. I worked for U.S. Steel. That's where I got my pension on. Although I have to admit, I worked 4 shifts for Lakehead working construction one time, but have an attack and I changing rules. But this board tries to do the best as possibly can. Have we made mistakes? Probably. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Tom. Dave?
Okay. This is gonna involve, I totally concur about the 60-day rule. There's limits, but there are things that can be done by the parties that are concerned. There was one thing that was brought up on Pulse. This information that we all are well aware of COVID impact. And the processes were totally messed up. And yes, that can be used in court with very, very well, I believe. But what my question is are we, where it says we can it can be either affirm it, partially affirm it, fully affirm, you know, the Board of Adjustment, all these things. Included in that wholly to it, is it within our jurisdiction that we can say that we're denying the whole thing until there is an allowance due to the fact that COVID had an immense impact and that they could be granted another 60 days to appeal?
Say that one more time.
Okay, I bet you I can't do it every time. What I'm after is, we look at this and make a motion, and it's almost like a denial without prejudice, but with the condition that due to COVID, there's an extension of that original 60 days that you would go forward from today, or we could make it 90 days, whatever, so it could be properly done, that all the information that has been discussed and such could be brought to light for a better look at the situation.
In extension to the 60-day rule,
Yes.
the 60-day rule is in a state statute.
Okay.
And so,
That's why I'm asking.
as much as you might like to have the authority to extend state statutes as a board of adjustment,
Well, there was
Sorry.
something mentioned, we have the power of God or a game warden. Okay, so you've answered that, so you can't do that, so there's no such thing as a denial without prejudice, which would get, no, it wouldn't do anything because the 60-day rule just continues to kick in. So, as stated by Tom, it's, you really, we do whatever we're gonna do on the determination, and from that point, it'll be the applicant, the parties will have to make use of the court system to get something done with the 60-day rule. Try.
Daniel?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment made by someone from the audience about the very narrow criteria that Melissa Bell had to follow. I believe Chair Wershing was very liberal in allowing adequate testimony for things that may not be relevant, so I wanted to be clear on that. She did a good job of allowing testimony.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Daniel.
A couple observations. COVID, and we were all on the board except for Tom and on the board and planning commission. We didn't miss a beat during COVID.
Nope.
Not a beat. In fact, one of our last public meeting in this room with a lot of people was with these people right here. But otherwise, we went to the Zoom and the WebEx and the Zoom whatever. We didn't miss a beat. Never missed a meeting, never missed a case or a staff report. We just went on like we had to, and it worked out fine. Someone mentioned recycled asphalt. I don't think there's any recycling asphalt allowed in this 6464. A log pile is not a violation, not part of the conditional use permit. And I've heard some allegations here from people in Ms. Wheeler, a 2-page letter with many faulty, I don't be generous here, faulty assumptions. We won't have the chance to rebut those, I'm sure, but I would like the board to know that letter should be read carefully. That's all.
Respect Gabe?
Yeah, just a comment, when you mentioned COVID, yeah, we did a fantastic job. However, we're talking about data search.
Yes.
I do believe that data search going with phone, not in person, made it difficult to be able to get information, get responses, that sort of thing. So it's not the same as our being able to do our business. 60-day in appeal, calling, asking for. When you're dealing with bureaucracy, that's what a lot of this is. It's hard to get responses. First of all, to find out who to talk to. You can get routed around 20 times and then hung up on and start again. And that's just something that happens. You got good people for information and it's hard, and then you request it, you want it mailed, and during COVID, mail got messed up and stuff like that.
We have any further discussion? Someone ready for a motion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
How do we want to do this? We want to motion each and every of the 7 sections, one of the 7 sections, whether it's clear, what it is we're discussing and what we decided, rather than blanket approval or denial.
How would you like it as a board? You want to do each one individually, Ray?
I don't think, just thinking out loud, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to do individual.
You, Pat?
Actually, I do, yeah.
Well, if you're making the motion, then are you going to make a motion on every one of them or just one?
I would make a motion on each and every one of them, but I'm not prepared to make a motion. More discussion.
Okay. Discuss away.
Under discussion part, I understand what Board Member McKenzie's saying, but on the same token, this is a review of administrators' decisions and a decision as a whole. And I don't know, and the attorney's here, so we can ask if this board has the option of taking the 7 or 5 or 6 or 10, whatever they may be, the number, and acting on them independently. Decision is a decision. Decision taken down as a whole decision. I believe it's got to go up or down as a whole.
You advise on that?
Yeah, because the options available to you include approving the whole thing, rejecting the whole thing, or some combination of those, you do have the flexibility to take them up item by item. However, you don't have to do it that way. So it's one of those, areas where either one is fine depending on what you think makes sense.
I'm going to leave that open to whoever makes the motion, how they want to put their motion. Dave?
It says, for instance, if you took and you just said, we're not doing this, wholly denied. Okay, it says here, the matter will be returned to the director for further action, which establishes procedures to be followed in the event of non-compliance. What does that mean?
Let's take an example to make it concrete. You've got the entrance gates issue. Okay? The department's position is you only need an entrance gate at the Hall Road.
Yeah.
The Ms. Bell's position is nope, you need one at each access point, whether it's the Hall Road or not.
Yeah.
Okay? If you side with Ms. Bell on that point, that means that there's a violation. Okay?
Okay.
And what 8.11.c says, if there is a violation, what happens next? The director notifies the permit holder.
Okay.
And the question becomes, are there corrective steps that can be taken to correct the violation?
Okay.
Seems like there would be in that case, but that would be up to the director. And you go through the corrective action process. Now, if the corrective action process either doesn't work because the permit holder says, I'm not going to do the corrective action, or the director determines there's just no corrective action to be taken in this situation, it's an incurable situation, then the option of revocation comes alive, where the permit could be revoked. That's the process that we have for non-compliance with permits.
But it goes to the director to do this process.
Correct.
But can the director, the director gave us all this information based on all the information he has, saying that this is what it is. Okay, so now we say, no, we're rejecting all this. The director now gets another shot at saying the same thing? Or
No.
he is now forced to go back to the applicant and say, okay, how are we going to resolve this? Or does he go to the owner and say, this must be resolved? Who's going to determine how it's resolved? Clarify
Yeah.
that.
So if you reverse on entrance gates, we'll stick with that. That means there is a violation with respect to entrance gates.
Yeah.
And under the ordinance, it's then up to the director to take those next steps of notifying, it would be LTI Holdings, that there's a violation and going through the corrective steps process.
But if you said that about the entrance gates, for instance, according to what we have, it's fine according to what it's supposed to be. So now we say, no, it isn't. Who's going to determine that? For instance, it has to have a gate going to that residence. How do you gain resolution to something that you've been told is perfectly fine?
You've been told it's perfectly fine by the director,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you have review authority over the director, and you're
Okay.
saying the director was wrong. It's
So
not
we
fine.
have to say what we want in this, in the motion, you'd have to say what you want done.
I don't think you do. I think you have to say, is the director right or wrong in terms of whether there's a violation? If you say the director's wrong, there was a violation, then you go through the regular ordinance process on what we do every time there's a violation of a code.
Okay, so they goes to the owner, then he has to correct the violation.
Indeed,
And he says, what's my violation?
you don't have an entrance gate at all access points.
According to the director, it says it is.
You just overturned the director. You
No.
just overturned the director.
Okay,
in
so
this
every
hypothetical.
single point, that's.
Let me play the devil's advocate if I may.
Sure, yeah.
The book says a gate for extracted use. A gate, it's black and white, extracted use. That's the road they're using. So how can we overturn you?
I'm not-
using that as-
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
not
it's an example, it's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good example. Yeah, it makes sense to have gates all over, but on the same token, if you got an easement for a snowmobile club, we're gonna gate that.
And I'm not
That's
taking,
why our ordinance, we discussed this before, another gravel pit, sir.
Yeah.
This is not new
yep,
to this gravel pit, believe me.
I'm not taking a position on whether there should be
No,
one
I
entrance
understand
gate.
that. I'm just saying
or
that
three
this
entrances.
discussion could go forever because
Yeah.
we've got enough history on a gate,
Mhm.
You-
not the employees gate, but the ingress and egress from production trucks and equipment.
you get it figured out there?
So that's why I have a hard time taking each one at a time. I'd like to see them all go up or down, but that's not my
Yeah,
problem.
because
I'm
there's,
basically the kid on board.
if it's all voted fine, then they have an alternative. If it's all voted down, every single thing is up, that's almost like it should be reheard.
Yeah, that's true also.
I'm not, yeah, I guess I'm not following,
Well,
I guess I'm not following.
if you follow each one of these things
Yes,
that have been put in front of us.
Yep.
There's a logic that the director says, this is what it should be, this, and you can concur or not.
Yeah.
If you don't concur, it's almost throwing every single thing that was decided to give the permit in the first place back in.
I don't,
We have to be more specific of what we desire.
you could say, for example, I think that the director was right with respect to vegetative screening, but I think he was wrong with respect to entrance gates.
Yes. You listening?
There's no problem with that.
Okay.
On the other hand, if you think he was right on all of them or wrong on all of them, you can do it all at once. That's fine too.
When you make the motion, when we're doing stuff with the Board of Adjustment, you have to go through justification. Is this one that has to have all justification for anything that is decided? I don't see any points saying you must justify to 5 criteria. or
Yeah,
anything.
no, it's different in that respect.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so there's no justification. Okay.
Question. I heard something about that there's crushing and, hot mix going on there. Well, the conditional use permit that was created, it says no crushing, recycling, asphalt or hot mix, that type of thing. Does the conditional use permit have anything to do with what we're trying to accomplish?
What you're looking at today is the appeal of the director's determination on those 7 points or 8 points. That's what you're here to look at. Not rescinding CUP permits or anything. It's up or down on those 8 questions. I'm unaware that there's any crushing or hot mix going on
The
in that
neighbor
pit.
said it, you know.
So that, and if that's the case, if somebody brought that complaint to us, we would go out and look at that. But right now, we're unaware of that. We're only looking at what those 8 points were in front of you, because that's what the appeal was on, those 8 questions.
Do the neighbors have any recourse on this, if, you know, on anything that they find objectionable after, if this passes? Do they have any other look at the situation?
Yes. The board's decision on this appeal is subject to judicial review in state district court. So an aggrieved person can make that appeal, and that's allowed by statute and our ordinance. Yeah.
Go ahead.
And if it does go that route, any discussion that would be held by the other party could bring up the 60-day rule at that point in time also, right? Anything's allowed in courts.
It's a free country, so they can bring up whatever they want
Yeah.
in a lawsuit, and
Which
then
means total permit.
I have rights in that regard as well.
Yeah. Yes, now, any of this that we do will be representing, if say we wholly don't support this and it goes back to the director, all you want is whatever's going to be done follows the rules and regulations of the county. You're not looking to, you're not a devil's advocate to make this thing stick. If we rejected it and it has to be worked out again.
In terms of these alleged violations of the cup in the ordinance,
Yes.
yeah, I'm agnostic on that. That's planning's come forward with this info. You've heard the other side.
Yeah.
The decision is yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
You ready,
thank
Pat?
you.
Madam Chair, yes, I am ready. I'd like to first say that it is unfortunate that a lot of the people we heard from today and other people that are here do not understand why we're here, actually. And this is a narrow issue. It's got nothing to do with other pits, got nothing to do with other things except Director Johnson's administrative determination of the Friedenberg 64 pit and the conditions related to it. I understand there's a lot of emotion about things in their neighborhood and all this sort of thing, but, and I hope you understood that your next stop is district court. If you're not happy with what happens today here, your next stop is district court. And Ms. Bell, you would have benefited greatly by having the advice of an attorney or to have an attorney present. Otherwise, a lot of what we sat through today. Okay? But Madam Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion to uphold the Director Johnson's administrative determination regarding the 64 pit. The nature of request was an appeal to the Board of Adjustment for St. Louis County Zoning Ordinance 62 concerning the Director's administrative determinations for the conditional use permit at 6464 Greenberg Lake Road. The applicant is appealing the administrative determination dated October 27th, 2022 by Matthew Johnson, St. Louis County Planning and Community Development Director, regarding the operation of a permitted borrow pit at 6464 Greenberg Lake Road. The administrative determinations were sent to Melissa Bell in response to her formal complaint against LTI
Lakehead Trucking at 6464 Greenberg Lake Road. The borrow pit received conditional use permit approval at the May 14th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting. And a conditional use permit was issued on June 12th, 2020. St. Louis County Planning and Community Development Director reviewed the complaint and determined that the borrow pit located at 6464 Greenberg Lake Road is in compliance with the, per the administrative appeal. Correspondence between the department and the applicants and other relevant materials are included with this report. Madam Chair, it would be my motion to uphold Director Johnson's determinations in the various sections of the report that we've received, and of that sections A through F.
And actually, I'm sorry, into G.
That would be my motion.
I'll second it.
Who seconded it? Dave? Do we have any further discussion? Dave?
Well, my only comment is, it has to be voted on because then you go from there.
Donald, would you do roll, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Board Member Spatos,
Support.
Chair Warshay,
Support.
Board Member Filipovich,
Denied.
Board Member Pollock,
And I
Board
You
Member
seconded
Mc-
the motion.
I know, so what? You can support it. You want to bring it to a vote? Absolutely.
Board Member McKenzie,
Support.
Board Member Coon,
Support.
Board Member Manic,
Support.
motion carries 5-2.
Do we have any more business?
Can I say one more thing just to finalize? I will be filing an appeal on the 60-day timeframe now that I'm more aware that the COVID, there was a pause on all appeals. I feel that this is something that needs to be looked into more, because I feel it's a 60-day law that applies to us. Now hearing that there was a COVID pause on all appeals applies to this, and I will be discussing with my lawyer and the company after this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further business? We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.